Trading at Schwab is now powered by Ameritrade, giving you even more specialized trading support. Connect with the Schwab Trade Desk, our team of passionate traders ready to tackle your trading questions, no matter how complex. Plus, get 24/7 live help and access support by phone, email, and in-platform chat. Trade brilliantly with Schwab.
A fresh take on the hottest trends in the market, from every click to every tick.
There's no fear of missing out on Next Gen Investing. 1 p.m. Eastern, only on the Schwab Network.
Welcome back to the Futures Show here on the Schwab Network. I want to bring in our next guest, Alan Nuckman, Chief Market Strategist over at BullseyeOption.com. Alan, Happy New Year, first off. Thank you for kicking off the year with us. Let's start out with your outlook for stocks for 2025. I know we all like to have our crystal ball take, so what's yours?
Well, I still remain bullish until proven otherwise. I mean, we're in a strong momentum market. Yes, we had a little bit of a pause at the end of the year. It's been almost a month since, a couple of weeks anyway, since we made all-time highs in the S&P. But you've seen this stair step. Every time we pull back a couple of percent, we rally 2% on that old high or whatever it is. So we've got some upside potential here. And I still think stocks are a momentum play that you can't ignore in this market environment.
All right, and speaking of some other momentum that we've seen, the dollar, that has certainly been strong, above 108 this morning. What are you paying attention to when it comes to that for, especially the trajectory for, let's talk about the first quarter of this year.
Right, the dollar has disappointed as a bull that I am. It's disappointed me so far, but the market reaction has not been that negative. I mean, we're hanging up here 108. Gold's holding its value pretty well. Gold's around the 26.75 pivot, which is the midpoint of that drop from the top. So we can get above it, then it can have a full V recovery. But the dollar, as well as 10-year note yields, are hanging tough right now. But I think if they can start to decline, that can be another bullish catalyst. It's not my job to pick what's going to be the catalyst. I'm here to identify how the market's going to move, but that's one of the potential things that could give the market a little upside if we can get that dollar to weaken just a little bit.
Speaking of how the market will move, oil back above, it's above $72
Nice.
a barrel this morning. It looks like there's some overseas, signs of demand that seem to be strengthening the bullish case for oil. What are you paying attention to in terms of what is your outlook for oil and its trajectory?
Well, I've been on many times and I've talked about how I'm greatly disappointed that oil has been the only market that hasn't participated in this everything bull market across the board yet. And now after this last little low, we moved up. We're at, 2-month highs now. I think if we can take out that 73 level, then we can push that 75, 76. And then it's going to maybe get some attention. Again, I think part of the equation has been more so the dollar has a bigger impact on oil than on gold. Gold went up regardless of what the dollar did, whereas oil has really been held back by that. But I think from a risk-reward standpoint, I'm not the only one that's been disappointed over and over again over the last 2 years, but we're essentially trading sideways between 65 and 85. So 75 is a very important pivot, and we're not that far away from it right now.
Okay, WTI above $72 a barrel this morning. Let's talk about your outlook for nat gas. Tell us your expectations there, what you're paying attention to in terms of levels.
Yeah, nat gas is probably one of the best situations, and last week it had a breakout. As far as risk reward, it hasn't performed natural gas. If you look at the ETF and if you look at the commodity itself, been really down in the dumps. Now, there are a lot of variables at play that I'm not going to try and figure them out, but they look like from a trading standpoint, from a technical standpoint, from follow what you see, it looks like this bottom base has been made. You can see here that we had a nice move, like I said here last week, and some gapping. Then it's come back a little bit. But if you look at UNG, the ETF that tracks natural gas, it had been between 12 and I think 14, 12 and 16 for a while. So a 4-point range for the longest period of time. That breakout targeted 20. We almost got there last week. But what I saw was on that low, I guess in August, was that when we made new lows, we did not make new highs in implied volatility. That's a sign of a sentiment shift. Again, look at a historical chart in natural gas. We are so ridiculously low right now. The risk reward to the upside is definitely very, very asymmetrically positive, which is what we look for. And that's why I use, in the money options as my limited risk way to position for that. But I think natural gas is one of my best candidates for 2025. And there's so many things can happen with the Russian variable, with, the LNG variable with the new administration trying to push our products around the world. So let's see where that goes. But again, I try not to think. I just try and focus on the price performance. And last week was a solid breakout. Now we need some follow through.
Yeah, I do think there is a big push, obviously, for LNG. Let's talk a little bit about another sector that's had some momentum, but it had faced a pullback. Bitcoin, in particular, punched through 100,000. It's since flagged. It's a little higher today, above 96,000. What are you paying attention to, or your expectations for the outlook for Bitcoin in 2025?
Well, your last guess was spot on, that the institutional people getting involved, and now that we have, Bitcoin futures, Bitcoin ETFs, we have options on the ETF. These have all made the market less volatile. Now, the price performance has been rather significant because the overall participation in gold, in Bitcoin versus gold is still tiny. Yeah, it was a lot more attractive when it was wallowing around 50,000 and people were very much paused, but it traded between 50 and 70,000 for the longest time. That targeted 90,000. We took that out and then we extended above that. And then we got up to, I guess, 105, 110 or so. So that's still the near-term objective with leaning on that 90. Markets often come back to their breakouts. We did that, we held, and that's critically important from a technical standpoint. So you can lean on that 90. But if we attack those highs again, you take the distance of that top, that high, on that 90,000 base and add it on that high. So there's a lot more upside. I still don't think we've had a Bitcoin fever just yet. So I think you could see some really explosive moves. But again, I'm a limited risk trader. So, I'm not new to the Bitcoin thing, but I think a lot of the Bitcoin ETFs have a lot of Bitcoin mining stocks, have a lot of value here. At the lower end of their sideways range. So that's how I'm looking to play it, with limited risk options again, because there's a lot of upside potentially still there.
All right, Alan Nuckman with an outlook for a variety of sectors, asset classes, finishing on Bitcoin there for 2025. Thank you, Alan, Chief Market Strategist over at BullseyeOption.com. All right, traders, I want to bring in